Hey, you listen to Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. This is Grady Hooker, episode 138, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
You sound tired.
I am.
I guess that's what daylight savings does. If you don't know, at least in New Zealand, we record around 7:30 a.m. in the morning, and Josh works weird hours, so no one gets any sleep. There's two main talking points I see from Raw, and we'll start off with the first one, because it leads into the second. Wayne Rooney slapped Wade Barrett.
Yeah, it could possibly be the beginning of the celebrity angle for WrestleMania.
All I can tell is that it's big. It seems as though not necessarily all of them, but there are a lot of mainstream media picking up on this. And in fact, we had a breakfast show over here in New Zealand reporting on it, and they just put it on their Facebook page and everything. And I think if it spreads that far, and either we're having a really slow news day, or it's done what the WWE wanted it to do. It'd be interesting to see with the celebrity angle. I presume, unlike Armel, he wouldn't jump in the ring necessarily, but he might have manage someone. What I'm trying to say.
Who knows? They've been jawing on Twitter for months.
Yeah.
Months. So it's entirely possible that they may end up in the ring together.
It'll be interesting to see going forward in terms of the WWE celebrity angles. Always used to be a little weak, especially the ones heading into WrestleMania. Some of them were really awesome, but then you had the Snookies and everything that were not the best. Lately, they seem to be stepping that up, in that if they're gonna have a celebrity involved, they're gonna really get involved, and it's gonna be a nice continuous storyline with an arc and story behind it. So I'm hoping that if we are going to continue forward with Wayne Rooney, that he's going to get that story, he's going to get that arc, and there's going to be a payoff at the end. Whether that be at WrestleMania sooner or whenever. But that distraction led to, trying to look here, probably the biggest upset so far of the tournament, to crown a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and that is Cesaro beat Sheamus.
Yeah, I'm good with that because I think Cesaro versus Reigns would have been a better match anyway.
Yep. I think everyone always thought that Cesaro Reigns would be a better match, but didn't expect to get it. You put someone like Cesaro, who doesn't necessarily, he has the fans behind him, but he doesn't necessarily have the momentum right now, against the Money in the Bank holder Sheamus. Most people were putting their money on the Sheamus. But we also have Roman Reigns defeated Big Show in his opening match, which I don't think anyone was surprised about.
Yeah. If they were, they should check themselves into a mental hospital.
Kevin Owens defeated Titus O'Neil, which nobody was surprised about. Dolph Ziggler beat The Miz.
Which nobody was surprised about.
And Dean Ambrose beat Tyler Breeze.
Which nobody was surprised about.
So congratulations, Cesaro, on being the only one that people were surprised about. This tournament is definitely going to lead to some weird matchups.
In the second round, you have two face versus face matches already set up.
And in the first round yet to happen, we have a heel versus heel and a face versus face to happen. So they're not going originally I'd planned it out, And it doesn't look like they're going that route where they're going to have the obvious people win to make the obvious heel-face matches. But those betting people among us still betting for a Roman Reigns Dean Ambrose final?
That's the only thing that makes sense with the pairings that they put up in the bracket.
Well, Roman Reigns is obviously going to win his part. And that means he'll either take on...
The only person that can face Reigns besides Ambrose is Kevin Owens.
Yep, that was my other thought.
If that happens, Reigns is winning the championship.
Yeah. It would be neat to see Reigns versus Owens, just to see what those two can put on. But I think, as I mentioned it before, it wasn't necessarily the Survivor Series main event championship match. Whereas Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns will probably tear the house down. And then go get a beer afterwards. Unless Dean does his flip that everybody seems to be predicting lately.
I just thought of something off the wall that they might do.
What?
What if next week on Raw, in the semifinal, Dean Ambrose loses his Dolph Ziggler, and Dolph Ziggler wins the championship and turns heel, and joins the Authority.
It's interesting. Likelihood percentage slightly lower. It's something that it seems to be a going on trend now lately with these pay-per-views, is that I'm okay with any outcome that I'm surprised about. Which I like to say because generally most of the time you can predict or you can see one or two ways that the matches or that the storyline is going to go. So if they can do anything that completely surprises me, and Ziggler making it into the finals of this tournament immediately goes into that category of surprising me, I'm cool. Go for it, man. But there is one thing that we sort of skipped over, and that was that Roman Reigns was actually offered the championship.
He was offered a spot in the end at the Authority.
Would you have taken it?
And he wanted to earn things the right way.
I would have taken it, right? Yeah, I've also seen other things that saying that Sheamus should have cashed in on vacant and won. Which I do wonder how that would go, because I want to say that the contract has to be for a match. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see, but it definitely, as of the current storylines, does not appear to be going that way. So we'll go into our classic entrance theme, and we'll see if from the classic entrance theme you can guess what the current one is going to be. But it is the world's greatest tag team, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie. And you're back. Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady, Josh, and the radio. So we left off with Raw. The Divas are still going. I don't know how to describe them right now.
Well, they seem to have two different storylines going at least.
Yeah, going, I guess, is a word that you could use to describe them. But you had your number one contender, Paige, lose. And you had Natalya beat Team Bad, but then Team Bad fight back. So it seemed as though Natalya was aligning with PCB, or at least what was left of them. And then now she's not, and she's on her own against Bad, because Charlotte's too busy with the title and Becky's too busy with Paige. I have no idea where it's going to go. And in contrary to what I said earlier, when I said anything that's a surprise is good, this is a not good surprise. If they can pull it off, I'll take it as a surprise. So if it's Survivor Series, we get a second Divas match, probably Sasha Banks versus Natalia. And then that's a good match. I'll be happy.
That's entirely possible. That they're building to that. It's also possible that they could be building to a Divas Survivor Series match.
I definitely heard that being thrown around. I feel like that would be easier to imagine if Charlotte and Paige were not busy with their title match.
Who says you have to have can't have a title match and a Divas Survivor Series match at the same time?
Who are you filling the teams with?
Oh, let's see here. We have Becky.
Yep.
Let's see here. We can put the Bellas with Team Bad.
Yep. Oh, well, what's left of them, I guess. Is Nikki still out?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 5 on that side. And we've got Natalia and Becky on the other side. So we've got 3 more people to fill.
Let's see here.
I guess we have Emma.
Yeah, we can bring back up Emma if we want. We could bring up the NXT Women's Champion,
Cool.
Bayley.
Will they, though? It would be great as a surprise member if they're going to build that way. And they'll be like, oh, well, we need a 5th member. And then she just comes out on the night. So I'll give you, that's 4. Still need a 5th. And we're not shoving Eva Marie or Cameron in there. I won't allow
How about Carmella? Oh, wait, she's injured, isn't she?
Mm-hmm, yep. Because of the aforementioned person.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a lot easier to just say Charlotte getting that team if there wasn't a title match. But I'm sure there's a 5th person they can dig out of the back that can be that 5th person. So it would be interesting. I guess they could go 4v4 as well. But I imagine if what's happening with the Wyatts and stuff leads to 4v4, you'd probably only want one 4v4. So what is she?
Oh.
Yep.
Well, probably you will get just Charlotte Sasha versus Natalia, though.
Mm.
But
what's actually happening with the Wyatts? Because the Brothers of Destruction, they have their souls.
yeah, they're pissed.
It seemed as though, for a moment, it was Brothers of Destruction versus Bray and Strowman. A la, like, Survivor Series 2011, I think it was, where it was main evented by a normal tag team match. It's much sooner than that, 2013. 14. The one with Cena and The Rock. But it's still possible, I guess, that they find 2 more members. Of who, at this point, I can only guess 1. And that would be an NXT call-up, whether it be Corbin or whether it be Baylor.
Why not Lesnar?
True, I keep forgetting him. God damn it. Okay, so we have our 4. But are we going to get that 4? It was 2011, I was right. John Cena and The Rock versus The Miz and R-Truth. I don't know. It seems as though that the team of 4 needs to be balanced out. And it's at Survivor Series, so it is the perfect time to have a Survivor Series tag team match. But will we get it is always a different question. I'd love to, especially if Lesnar is on that team. I feel like the team of Lesnar, The Undertaker, and Kane, even without their NXT recruit, those 3 should be able to take out anyone. And it would lead to not only the Undertaker-Bray revenge face-off, but it would also lead to a Brock Lesnar-Strowman face-off, which I'm hearing a lot of people want on the internet. And it'll be interesting to see, because there's so many different ways with that, I guess, that they can go, especially with the NXT guy, if that happens. Talking of NXT, got that segue done. The current entrance theme, it is, if you couldn't guess it from the world's greatest tag team music, it is Jason Jordan and Chad Gable's Elite. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady and Josh. So Raw is pretty much capped out at that point. I probably missed a few points, but we've got a new show that airs after Raw. I believe episode 3 just aired. It is Breaking Ground, so I think it's NXT's answer to an ESPN show, I think. I'm not necessarily down with all of the sports shows.
I've enjoyed it so far in the 2 episodes I've gotten to see.
Yeah.
You can definitely, it definitely gives you a different side of the NXT wrestlers, their struggles in their training, and it really gives you a different perspective on people you thought you had figured out.
People are
like Dana Brooke.
Yeah, people are still on the internet trying to figure out if they're playing characters. I think people just don't want to let go of the fact that these could be the real life personas of these people. There's a lot of people who are like Dana Brooke and Baron can't be that bad. But those seem to be the focus points of those episodes, and I know this week's episode that aired after this week's Raw was very Josh from Tough Enough focused. And it's not even necessarily his in-ring or his training work at all. Quite a lot of it is focused on his family life. And it's a different side of that. You get to see things like he's currently living in a hotel, and he's got like 2 weeks to find a house, and that's how much you're going to pay for the hotel for. And then he's got to uproot his entire family and bring them to Florida. And you get to see that side of the struggle as well, as you get a little bit of Apollo Crews and his family and all of that, and you get that struggle. And then you've got, of course, to balance it all out, you got Carmella and Cass in cowboy hats doing Texan accents and dancing around. So you get a very balanced episode. Normally you get a very happy story, and then you get a sort of backstory story.
Yeah, and you hear stories like that all the time with what Josh is going through.
Yeah.
That if you want to make it in the business, you have to move there.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of playing out there with Josh. But yeah, Breaking Ground is very interesting because it gives you a different idea of why it is so difficult to do what they do.
Yeah. Well, on the second episode, we fired someone.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem as though they're shying away from any of the realities of training in the Performance Center.
And I think that's the point of the series, is to show this is what it takes to be a WWE superstar.
Start training now. So I know there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, I want to be a wrestler, but they don't realize the amount of effort that these people have to go through to be a wrestler.
That reminds me of, in the second episode, the guy that was doing the tryout, that was told he would get a tryout and didn't do any training.
Yeah. He just thought he'd make it because it was another thing he wanted to do, and he gets what he wants to do. There's a lot of little moments like that make me enjoy this show. I'm hoping it'll stick around for a little longer. I don't know how many episodes they've got it currently scheduled to run at, or if it's an indefinite series. It seems to be taking over Swerved's spot, so I'm not sure if that's just like a 10 episode run to pilot it out and see if it's going to work or what. And talking of the network, I don't know if you've seen it yet. I haven't. It is the latest Table for Three. They put on Natalia, Tamina, and Charlotte.
Yeah, I did manage to see that.
How was it?
Not bad. After actually watching the show, I figured out why they picked them. Because they were second generation divas. The only ones in WWE history.
That was the most surprising fact to me. Like, I understood that they were all second generation divas, but that they are the only ones in the WWE is what, like, shook me a little bit. It's like, oh, okay. I guess it's just something that you imagine that there's more of. Until you realize there isn't. And that's another thing. Like, Table for Three, it's pretty... I don't want to say it, but it's pretty candid. Like, they still cut stuff and all of that, but it's pretty out there and original in terms of what people say is their personalities. And this week's, which I think is out, I think Table for Three comes out before we do, is William Regal, Sheamus, and Wade Barrett, which, again, should be a great show.
I'm definitely interested in seeing the stories William Regal tells.
Yeah. It seems as though that they're really good at making the trios, or picking the groups that are going to be on together. They may have an overarching theme that what they write on the episode title, but they're all generally friends, or they're all people who know each other and are comfortable around each other. And I think that's what makes that show great, is you're not just putting three random people together. You're putting three people who know each other, especially with the Brian Ryback Ziggler one, is you got some hilarious stories between the three of them because they just know each other so well. And I'm liking this new content the network's putting out in terms of the... it's not a reality show, I guess. Maybe it is, but it's... I guess you've also got Unfiltered with Renee Young. It's just very real. And you get a sense of the people behind the characters and a sense of the business behind the show more than just what you get week after week after week of wrestling promo match, move on.
Yeah.
And it's a great different look, I guess, is a way to put it, that you probably wouldn't have got like 10 years ago or even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're running out of time here. It's been great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, or Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling R Radio. And I'll see you next week.